All right, welcome to your first video for college algebra. We're going to do a lot of review in this video, see what you remember from Algebra 1. So we're talking about lines. Now, to write the equation of a line, I'm going to jump down here for a second, okay? To write the equation of a line, hopefully you recall the slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. The point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. You need to memorize that. You need to know that. That's expected of you. It will never be given to you in this course. So remind yourself right now. The slope formula was y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we'll do some examples. I'm just kind of reminding you of equations. Now, let's come back up to vertical and horizontal. Now, a vertical line, remember here's your graph, right? A vertical line is a line that goes parallel to the y-axis. Now, when you write an equation of a vertical line, it doesn't match the y equals mx plus b thing because my slope is undefined. So anytime it's a vertical line, it's x equals some number, and it's wherever it crosses the x-axis. So I have to stop and think, okay, which axis is it crossing? X. So it's an x equals equation, and what does it equal? Well, wherever it's located. Now, the same idea, but it's just flipped if it's a horizontal line. So here's my axis. Let's say the line I was given is a horizontal line, like the horizon. So when you write the equation for that, the slope is 0. Maybe I should put over here. Over here, the slope is undefined. But when it's horizontal, the slope is 0. And your equation will be y equals whatever number, whatever y value is at that line. Okay, so get comfortable with that. Try to remind yourself of that. Now let's try one of these. Number 1, find the slope of the line passing through these 2 points. So x1, y1, x2, y2. Label your values. So m will equal 0 minus a negative 10 will be plus 10, and then negative 4 minus 1. So this would be 10 over negative 5. So that would give me a slope of negative 2. Now the next thing it asks me to do is find the equation of the line given the following. So if it doesn't specify what kind of equation, we're going to assume it's the slope-intercept form. Okay, if it doesn't specify, that's where we're going with it. So I'm going to start, though, by using point-slope to help me get there. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. One thing that can help you memorize it is if you start writing it every time you need it, okay? Now, this is my x1, this is my y1, and this is obviously my slope. So let's plug things in. Y minus a negative 3 will be plus 3 equals negative 1/2 x minus 2. All right? Now let's distribute that negative 1/2. So y plus 3 equals negative 1/2 x plus, what's 1/2 of 2? 1. Negative times negative made it positive. Now we need to keep going. We need to move this 3 over here by subtracting it. So my final answer will be y equals negative 1/2 x minus 2. There's my answer. Let's try example 3. Oh, look at this. M is undefined. What does that mean? M is undefined. So if it's undefined, that means it's a vertical line. And where is it located? Well, wherever x is. Remember, it crosses the x-axis, so x is 6. That is the entire equation, okay? The slope is undefined, so you don't have anything to put in for m. You can't put 0 in. That's different. So just be aware. If m is undefined, your answer is just x equals 6. There's really no work to show. You just have to memorize that this means vertical, means x equals something. Let's try the next problems here. Determine the slope and the y-intercept if possible. So slope and y-intercept are most easily seen when they are in the slope-intercept form. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to move it and solve for y. So I'm going to move this over here. So 4x minus 3y equals 9. I'm going to move my 4x over. Negative 3y equals, I'm going to put the x in the front because that's just the way the equation looks, right? Then I'm going to divide through by negative 3. And then I have y equals, now negative divided by negative is a positive, 4/3 x. Positive divided by negative is negative 3. Okay, so there's my equation, but the question says what's the slope? The slope is the 4/3. Notice it doesn't have the x attached, it's just the number. The y-intercept is a point, and it's 0, negative 3. Okay, look at number 5. Oh, it's an x equals negative 6 question. Well, this is important for you to visualize. X equals negative 6 means that there is a vertical line over here where x is negative 6. If it's vertical, that means my slope, or m, is undefined. Does it cross the y-axis at all? No. So I would just say the y-intercept is none. Okay? So you'll see practice like that coming up. Now, jumping to some geometry days, parallel versus perpendicular lines. So parallel lines will have slopes that are the same, okay? Perpendicular lines will have slopes that are opposite. So like, let's just make something up here. Y equals 2x plus 5, y equals 2x plus 9. Those are parallel lines. The slopes are the same. That value is the same. Now, perpendicular lines would look like this. Y equals 2x plus 5. It says they're opposite reciprocals. So a reciprocal of 2 is 1/2. The opposite would mean if this one, the first one's positive, this one's negative. Okay? Now, it can have any y-intercept. It doesn't matter. But all that really matters when you're determining parallel or perpendicular is the relationship between the slope. Now, if I was looking at this, and this was just 2 and positive 1/2, they are neither perpendicular nor parallel. Because to be perpendicular, you have to make the reciprocal and switch the sign, or make the opposite sign. Both have to happen for them to be perpendicular. So we're going to try some on the next page. All right, determine whether the lines L1 and L2 are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So here we go. So we're just going to have to find the slope. That's all we need to do here. So the slope of this guy, x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to do 0 minus 6 over negative 6 minus 3. Remember how we find slope? Do you remember the formula? If you don't know it, learn it. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's where I'm going with this. Then I come back over here. I have negative 6 over negative 9, which reduces to a positive 2/3. Okay, great. What happens over here? All right, let's see. y2 is 7/3 minus a positive 1, and then 5 minus 0. Okay, that's kind of gnarly with a fraction, right? But remember, 7/3, that just means 7/3 plus 3/3 equals 10/3. So it's 10/3 over 5 over 1. When you divide a fraction, what do you get? Well, you have to flip it over. So 10/3 times 1/5, you have to multiply by the reciprocal. That gives me 10 over 15. Let's see if that's the same. Reduce again, that's 2/3. Look, both of them are positive 2/3. So what does that mean? That means that these two lines are parallel. All right, you'll have some practice problems on this, so remember that relationship. Then it says write the equations in slope-intercept form of the lines going through the given point, 2, 1, and this point. First, that's parallel, and then perpendicular. Now, before you go any further, you want to rearrange this puppy into y equals mx plus b form, because what we need to know is the slope, okay? So if I do that, I'm going to have 4x minus 2y equals 3 is where we're starting. I'm going to move my 4x over by subtracting it. Then I'm going to divide through by negative 2 and see what happens. I'll have y equals, now I'm going to put the x term in the front. Negative divided by negative is positive 2x. Positive divided by negative makes it negative minus 3/2. Now, what do we need? The only thing we need from this equation is this slope right here, okay? Because that will dictate what's happening on example 7 and example 8. So watch this.